talk and
gossip.
And you know why? Because you're doing
Women
your
have
makeup.
couches in their
You're doing your
bathroom.
makeup, and you're checking each other from behind, being like, "Oh, there's something. You should check your hair. The back of your hair looks a little messy."
Well, yeah, all women are a little bit
Mean Girls.
We also
It
help
doesn't
each
even
other out.
go here.
Melv, do you have those traits when it comes to women?
And
If
what
I may
I'm
ask.
trying to say,
Okay.
all I'm trying to say is that being denied that opportunity when you are in a public setting with your girlfriends is alone very outing. It makes you feel outed by that, and that's what trans women don't want. We want to feel like we can just be ourselves. And
But what happens
Dude,
if
but-
biological
worry
women
about
one
that.
day all as once just say you're not women, we don't want you around, and then get men really mad at you? And then, because remember, the only thing keeping men from just destroying you guys is that women would get upset. So what happens when you piss women off to where they just unleash
I don't
men
think that's
on you?
true.
Well, look, look at the
that's
sports. Yeah, look at the sports. Sports allowed transgender women into the sports, and now all of a sudden they're regretting it. And
No, they're
they
The
are.
IOC
They
is still-
massively are. Yes.
The Olympics is still letting trans women compete, and that's because they have a 3-year waiting period, which seems to be the amount that we need. Also, there hasn't been any trans women dominating any sport because no trans woman has a perfect record.
Are you joking?
No. Dominating a sport doesn't mean that you have a perfect record. Okay. Muhammad Ali, some of the greatest boxers in history, don't have a perfect record. Okay. So again, no. Hold on. But hold on. You have to realize that
they can lose some games.
Yeah, okay, of course. Yeah, you could lose some games. However, you could also make the argument, hold on, you can also make the argument that some of these women are politically driven. These transgender women are politically driven to the point that they'll actually lose on purpose in order to make those points there. Okay?
But like
so we don't
so them aren't
oh yeah,
politically
definitely
driven to make a bigger fuss.
politically driven, yes,
Can I ask a
for
question?
certain things.
It can be on
But
both
at
sides.
the end of the day, if you look at Leah Thomas, who was
it can be on both sides, right?
Yeah,
The
but
politics can be on both sides. I
Melv,
wanna
yes,
focus on
I know
for
that.
a second.
But women cannot fucking throw a game against a transgender woman in order to make a point. No, they can't. Not necessarily. Not on average. Not on average, Melv. Not on
Can I
average.
ask a question, Jake?
On average, transgender women, on average, transgender women can do that for political
Why?
reasons. Okay.
Why-
Yeah,
Because
like
the
I just told you, the
expectation is
most
that a dude is going to destroy a chick.
Exactly. So they'll ease up. Look at Leah Thomas. You have plenty of examples of when they were in men's sports, they were fucking losers. They couldn't get anywhere within the men's sports league. But when they transition to women, they're like number 1, number 2, number 3, etc. They're breaking records. Breaking records,
No,
Mel.
Furby, you don't understand the difference. At a high level, when I was wrestling at a high level, you could throw 100 girls in a row at me, one after another. I would not struggle.
By the way,
You don't
There's
understand the
videos of
physical
like
difference.
wrestler chicks that like try
Leah
to like pin
Thomas's
a
sport.
wrestler dude, and he literally just like she tries to do an armbar, and he literally just stands up. and
I could
embarrasses her.
literally lift
Leah
a girl
Thomas's
doing an
sport.
armbar up with my arm when I was
Here's
in
a question
Okay.
for you, Mel. Here's a question for you, Mel, real quick. I just want to
wow,
see
you're
if you can
also
answer.
smart when you agree with each other.
Real quick, Mel. Real
Can
quick,
I just
right?
wait,
This
Terrence,
is-
also
please,
great.
please.
No,
Please, Terrence,
gentlemen,
just go ahead.
just real quick. I only need 30 seconds to ask a question, right? How do you know to
Okay.
give you the whole kind of like Descartes problem, right? How do you know that like your therapist is not secretly just like someone who's like really like against like an
Yes.
actual homophobe who's just
Yes.
trying to push you into this whole transgender thing?
Because I
So
didn't
with
make
that,
this
like, with
decision
the
based
aim
on a
that you'll
therapist
actually
telling me I'm
castrate yourself
trans.
and
No, I can already answer you without you needing to
Yeah.
finish because I didn't have a therapist tell me I'm trans. I decided it for myself.
Yeah, but Melv, you do understand, like, when it comes to therapy, therapists, etc., if they have a political agenda, they will tell you whatever they want to tell you in
Crazy
order to push
people don't know
said
they're crazy, Mel.
agenda, right? Mel,
Crazy
Wait,
people
you
don't
can
know
understand
they're
that
crazy.
that
I know
does
I'm
exist.
crazy.
But it's
Jake.
very unlikely that the majority.
No,
of
it's very
therapists will
likely.
have it's very unlikely
What?
that the majority of them will have an agenda. Also, going back to the Leah Thomas thing. And
Wait,
someone
what?
mentioned Breaking
you
records.
can't prevent.
Someone mentioned breaking records. That's a sport, by the way, where every other meet someone breaks a record. So
That's
yeah,
not
people
true
break
at all.
No, it's
No,
not.
that's not
A lot of
true.
these
No,
records
no,
actually
no.
last for 50 years, 30 years,
You want to know how we know,
years,
Mel?
Mel.
It's not
Wanna know
like
how we know?
baseball, dude. It's
Do you
not
wanna
like
know how we
baseball.
know?
It's not
Do you
like
wanna know?
No,
it's not
no
like-
one- no one's
it's not
worried.
like
I could
it-
tell
one's
you've
worried
never
about
actually
trans
played a
men.
sport in your life, Melv. You've never played a sport in your life.
no one's worried about trans
I
men.
did do swimming in high
dominating
school.
There are high
men's
school
sports.
records that stand for like
I did-
100 years, Mel.
I did do competitive swimming in high school, idiot.
But Jake,
Mel-
that,
Mel-
hit him with the trans. Hit him with the men's. Trans men. We're not worried about trans
Yeah, 'cause there are
men
Let me
dominating
ask
men's
Mel
sports.
one quick
Of course,
question.
of course, of course, they're not worried about that. They're not worried about trans men breaking anything. But
Can I
the point-
ask a
because there
rhetorical
are
question
local-
really quick to Mel? Can I ask
There are
one
local
rhetorical question?
records. The
Mel,
reason you're
Mel,
wrong-
Mel.
The reason you're
Mel,
wrong
one
is 'cause there are
question,
local
Mel.
records. There are state records, and there
Yes,
are
Mel,
federal
I
records.
understand. I played sports at a high level. I know. Mel, can I ask a
also
question
low,
real
too.
quick?
He's like
Mel,
Superman.
Mel, quick question.
When you think about it.
No, I'm not Superman. I know. I wish.
really quick, Imperious, go ahead and ask your question.
I've got next, by the way, I've got next.
Mel, quick question. You said you knew you were transgender when. How old are you? Can I just ask a serious question? Like I'm gonna ask a genuine question. How old are you?
I'd rather not tell.
Are you above 30?
Okay.
Okay. Then you wouldn't have known that you were transgender. That word was just invented in the early 2000s. You would have been a
What?
transvestite.
No, it wasn't.
Like that. No, what I'm saying
you
in the
think
in the
someone can be
lexicon.
born?
In the
You
lexicon.
think someone can be born
Nobody.
thinking-
No,
Yeah.
in the lexicon.
Before it was
Nobody had
transvestites and
heard of that,
transsexuals.
Mel.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you think someone
Men
can
that
be
knew they
born?
were men,
Well, I mean,
but they
it
wanted
was,
to.
it was
Very
trans.
cool.
It,
Mel,
was,
Mel,
it used to
nobody
be.
knew
It used
the
to be called
lexicon.
transsexual before.
Yes,
Yes, it was
transsexuals and
transsexual.
transvestites. There was a distinction.
Wow.
And what they've done
Very
at Birth,
cool.
that they've mashed all
So-
this shit together.
No,
But
that
Wow.
wouldn't
Cause all
have
this
known it
chaos.
was
What
not
does
in the
that have to do
popular
with- I mean,
lexicon.
That's
And
so
guys,
good.
guys,
Name
we-
change doesn't. That's.
You're also smart when you agree with each other.
My
No, wait,
point
Mel.
is,
So-
you wouldn't have known
I
that,
had a
Mel.
question for you. Hold up,
No,
hold up.
actually,
So the thing
I'm
is,
still trying to respond to Imperious, actually. So, Imperious, do you think it's possible that someone could wake up and be like, even though I was born with a penis, I feel like a girl?
Not if I didn't know the word it was to describe it.
Yeah. Well,
What
schizophrenia
does feel
is
like a
also a
girl
thing.
mean?
right?
I can tell you what I did when I was 6 that tells me that I knew that I was trans even before I knew the word. I went up to my friends and I wanted to tell them something that I felt was a little bit of a secret. I didn't know how to put it, but I wanted to like express it because
That you were gay.
really wanted
Sure.
No, Jake, stop projecting onto me, please. So I went up to them and I said, you know what? I'm a half boy, half girl, because that is the best way I could explain it at the age of 5. And they all made
'Cause
fun
you liked
of me,
men.
of course.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
all made fun of me.
Okay,
So
well,
Jake,
yeah, well,
I know
you
that
know,
you don't
okay,
understand
Mel,
the difference
Mel,
between
there's a
sexual
bit-
attraction
Mel,
and
it's-
gender.
Please give me
It's
just
like
one
when I
last
was
question.
a
I'll
kid.
shut the fuck up.
Okay,
Just one last
alright.
question.
Mel, it's just-
One
Mel,
sec, one
it's
sec,
the
one
same
sec, Sim.
thing.
One sec, one
Hold
sec,
on,
one sec,
Tarek,
one sec.
Tarek, I'm next,
Guys,
man.
Give me
guys,
one question. One
guys,
question. I'll
guys,
shut the fuck up.
guys.
1 second. I'll shut the fuck up. Mel, how do you know? How do you know that you're not just a really effeminate man who just wants to look like a woman?
Because if that's all I was, then that's what I would be. It would be much easier.
When I was around
Yeah, but you're
4,
saying a
I
half boy,
wanted
half
to.
girl.
I wanted to
So
be
how
a
do you know?
girl. When I was around
Exactly.
4, I wanted to be a girl, and
that
I
persist
eventually
into-
grew out of it. But
that
if I would
persist
have, but if things would have been the way they are now, I would have been encouraged to affirm my gender, and things would have be
Exactly.
quite different now.
Did that
Because, like,
persist for you?
What?
Did that persist for you?
It didn't persist because it was never.
Oh,
it
that's
was
how-
never.
It was never a thing.
typically-
Well, let me
yeah, that's
finish. It
typically how
didn't
we
persist
know.
because it wasn't. It wasn't affirmed by other people.
Yeah, that's typically how we know. And if somebody were to say not have persistent but reoccurring feelings that they're like a woman, then we might call them gender fluid, right? That's why we have these different categories.
Mel. Okay,
I'm
let me
just-
So,
see.
no,
There
I'm
are-
up. I'm up.
Yeah,
I've waited long enough.
Sorry, because
There are
So-
boys
so-
who are extremely feminine, and they shouldn't be considered a different gender just because they're really feminine.
And sometimes
Exactly.
they're
True.
not. Sometimes they're
Exactly.
not. Yeah,
No,
sometimes
they're
it's so-called
encouraged to
Mel.
be
femboys and
considered
stuff.
that. They're
No, sometimes-
encouraged to be
No,
considered.
you might call them a femboy or something.
No,
that's
they're
fine.
No,
not
a femboy's
anymore.
different.
No,
No,
guys,
It's
I
literally
need to
a
ask Mel a
thunderbolt.
question. Going back to what we were earlier talking about with the sports thing, I just wanted to clear up something first before I ask you the question. With the sports thing, am I right in understanding that you think it's okay to have trans women compete in women's sports, like for example boxing or whatever? That
Well,
it's
does vary
not
by
a danger.
sport. Boxing is an extreme case. Like
so you don't
if I were-
want trans women
Per
being
Let me
favore.
answer the fucking Jake. Just
Per
let me answer this
favore.
question, please.
Perché
So,
rischiamo veramente
if I
di
could give
diventare
a
il
milder
campo
example,
profughi
team sports
d'Europa.
especially
Rischiamo veramente di
after
essere
that
lo
happening, it's not
zimbello
been 3
del
years ago.
mondo.
What about
Ci
combat
stanno
sports?
ridendo in faccia